All right, hey guys, welcome back to Samco Tradbo. We're sitting here just chilling and going to talk for a second here, do a little porch session with you. We're going to talk about some of the pet peeves I have in the bow hunting world, some of the things that drive me nuts. And if any of these piss you off, I'm sorry, don't get upset at me. It's just ramblings of a 50-year-old guy that's been doing this for a long time and sees things that doesn't really like too much. But the first one, shot distances. Shot distances. Now, this was more so from the compound world than the traditional world, but having a YouTube channel where everybody's free to comment on it and say whatever they want to, I do get, it bugs me a little bit when I hear people talking about how, Eastern hunters and stuff thinking that, well, I'm dead accurate at 80 yards with my compound bow, and I can put 10 out of 10 in the kill zone at 80 yards with my compound bow. Why can't I shoot 60, 70, 80 yards on a deer? That bothers me for many, many reasons, and all the variables that come with it, and all the things that can go wrong, and all the mistakes that can happen in the natural deer movement that happens, and all that stuff. And yet, I honestly believe that compound guys would wound way less deer if they brought those numbers way down and kept them inside of 30 yards. That's my opinion. And then you got the Western hunters too. If one more time I hear somebody tell me that this is out west, okay, average shots out here are 50 to 70, 80 yards with a bow. You can't get in any closer. They hang up out there. Yet, on the same note, think about how many people that follow this channel that are Western traditional bow hunters that won't take a shot beyond 25 or 30 yards at max, 30 yards on an elk-size animal, 25 on deer. They won't do it. They won't shoot any farther than that. And they yet are successful year after year. Think about, just look at Traditional Bowhunter magazine that's been around since the 80s, and look at all of the contributors who have been in that magazine that are Western hunters that have never in their life taken a shot beyond 30 yards at an animal and never would, and they hunt those same places all the time. Yet we have people telling us that you can't hunt out there unless you shoot 50 yards or 70 yards with a bow. So it's kind of mind-blowing on that stuff. It gets on my nerves a little bit to hear about those far shot distances. Same with traditional guys that are shooting at 35, 40 yards. I'm not a fan of that. I just don't think there's any reason to. This sport of bow hunting is about getting close. Okay, there's no reason for you to be taking shots that far, in my opinion. My opinion is only worth the paper it's written on. So you do whatever you want to do. But in my opinion, if you're talking to me and I kind of roll my eyes or kind of shake my head, or you catch a weird something in there when you go telling me that, you killed this deer at 58 yards, I'm kind of, really? Did you have to? Get closer. It's bow hunting. That's what it's about, getting closer. Well, we're tree stand hunting and he didn't come in any closer. Then you failed. You didn't get him. Do you have any idea? You probably don't, but I would venture to say that it's got to be 50 Pope and young deer in my 30 years of hunting, 50 Pope and young deer that I have had to let walk at 25 or 30 yards, okay, with a traditional bow. 50, minimum 50. Remember, I've hunted Missouri, Kansas, Illinois for many, many years during the rut, okay? It's got to be 50 of them that I have let walk. Many of them you guys see in the Patreon videos. Okay, you guys watch me do it right there. And let it go because they're too far out. Can't do it. Okay, so discipline as a bow hunter is very important. And if you think you can find an excuse to take longer shots, then you're failing at the whole entire thing. Go back to get a gun. Get a gun. Use a gun. No offense. And I don't mean it mean. Or do whatever you want to do, but don't get pissed at me when I get annoyed because I don't think that you're doing it right, shooting at those kind of distances. There's just too many variables that come into play in there. Another pet peeve of mine too is the clothing thing, okay, the whole, especially out west. No offense, but the mountain stuff, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of what I call mountain snobs out there, and it's not everybody by any means, but there's a lot of people, and it's not just in the bow hunting world. On my truck channel, whenever I talk about off-roading a truck, okay, these guys come out of the woodwork. When I snowmobiled, they came out of the woodwork. Yet I snowmobiled like 13 times in the mountains in Montana, Colorado. I've been out there a million times, rode all that stuff, but anytime you talk about something where that can be done in the mountains, there is a mountain crowd that assumes that the rest of the world has no idea what it's like. If I had a nickel for every time somebody told me that the clothing I wear, I would die if I went out west and hunted in that. Yet I spent a lot of time out there, okay? And not only that, I know a ton of people that are there that hunt in this stuff, wearing the same things I do, but yet we would die out there, okay, because this is the mountains. Okay, you think the mountains are any more dangerous than being even down here? in a swamp where the temperatures are 105 degrees with 90% humidity, and then somewhere throughout the process of you being 5 or 6 miles away from your truck and around 7 different sloughs fighting snakes and gators and mosquitoes galore, and somehow then you get a thunderstorm that drops 1.5 inches of rain in an hour, and you think that's not a pretty serious environment? What about even being in northern Michigan where I was at, where I thought people like, oh, you hunt Michigan, you could never survive that in the mountains yet. Where I'm at in northern Michigan, you could have 45 degree sunny day in the wintertime, and then at night it turns out to be 13, 14 below zero with 30-mile-an-hour winds and snow squalls coming through. You think that that's not bad environments? How about Texas? Oh, I love this. Okay, like, you're in Texas for all that. I don't live in Texas, but I've hunted Texas quite a bit down there. In Texas in February, temperatures can start out in the mornings at 25 degrees, and then they can go up to 75 degrees in the afternoon, drop back down to 25 with blistering winds. Okay, like I said, there's nothing, your clothing choices in the mountains are no different than your clothing choices anywhere else. Yeah, for some reason, everybody seems to think that if you're a mountain hunter, you have to wear this special stuff. Drives me nuts on it, or that I'd die if I came out there and hunted in those kind of conditions. That kind of stuff gets on my nerves. Another big one is the trail camera and tree stand campers. Okay, these are the guys that come out there and they put tree stands all over the woods so they can hunt on public land. So they go out and they hang 15 tree stands, and they assume because their tree stand is in that tree, you cannot be there. You should not be there. You should see my tree stand and stay away from here out of respect. And that's not how public land works. And the same with the trail cameras. People put trail cameras. They'll go put 50 trail cameras up on state land, and they'll have them all over these persimmon trees and all that kind of stuff. And then when they come out there and they see you sitting there, they're mad because they're like, you see my camera. This is my spot. I found it. Just because you put a camera on it doesn't mean you found it. Okay, it's not yours. There's been a ton of people here. You just happen to put a camera on it. Same with a tree stand. Just because you hung a stand here doesn't mean that I haven't been hunting here for years beforehand and just not leaving my stand up. So when you're these stand and trail camera campers that assume that that spot's there because they have a stand hanging in it means nothing to me. No offense, but and again, if you're in my Patreon stuff, you watch in my hunting videos that I pan and show you every setup I got. Every time I climb a tree and set up, I show you every detail of it. And I show you, look, somebody's got a ladder stand right there and it's 20 yards from me. Okay, nobody in it, but I'm like, look, there's a ladder stand right there. I don't care. I'm hunting it. If that guy walks in while I'm here, hey, leave, get out. You don't get to be here today. Sorry, you can get as mad, throw your arms up, throw a fit, whatever you want, think you own the place, you're done. You're not coming in today. If I come in another time and I walk in and I see you up there and you hit me with a flashlight, I turn around and I quietly leave and I walk back out and give you the spot. And I don't hunt the same spot over and over again. I may only hunt a spot one time in an entire season. So like I said, I don't care if your stand is there. I don't care if your camera's there. I can't tell you how many times I sat up in a tree where there's a camera sitting there staring right at me. He sees me. He's on the other side of this intersection and I want it. And I'm here and I got a hot feed tree right here and I'm going to set up right here. That camera is taking picture after picture after picture of me on these cell cameras the whole entire time I'm sitting here. He's got to be getting furious. He's watching me drink my water bottle, he's watching me chill, watching me look at my phone, watching me watch deer. He's just sitting there watching me the whole time. I don't care. It's not your spot. That one drives me absolutely crazy. Gets on my nerves tremendously. It is public land, and I will respect your opinion when you are in a spot on public land, or your option to be there if you get there before I do. If I go into a spot and I'm already there, it's not yours anymore. And I get to be there as long as I want to for that day. And I'm going to hunt it the entire time. And people get very fed up with that. Even James Orr, when he came with us and hunted in the Midwest this year, first time, speaking of which, perfect example, somebody who lives in the West, in the mountains, okay, does not take shots at ridiculous distances, does not have to wear any special fancy clothes when he's out hunting, does not believe that mountain hunting is you'll die if you come out here. Yet he also came out and hunted Midwest for whitetails for the first time with us this year, and he had that happen to him. He had walked in on 2 or 3 people. I was paddling down a river on my way to a stand. He's like, hey, that spot you said to go to, there's somebody already in it. Okay, we'll find a different one. Move over, cut it, get 100 yards out of the way and set up in there that way if you still want to be in that funnel, or move to a different one, whatever you got to do. And then he had people walk in on him 2 other times where they walked in. He's like, hey, hunting here, dude, hunting here. And then they turn around and leave. Sometimes those people get pissed. They're like, you are in my spot. It is not your spot. You don't own it. It's public land. We all have to play this game, and it does not work that way. Okay, as you watching my Patreon one, just when I was scouting at persimmon the other day, sitting there scouting a persimmon, and I'm looking up in the tree like this. I'm like, oh, this one's loaded. I'm marking it down, putting this stuff together, and I hear, nah, 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 nah. Like, the heck was that? You know, nah, 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 nah. I'm like, what is that noise? That sounds like somebody talking in a different language. And I look and I'm like, I don't see anybody. Like, that's weird. Okay, so I'm doing my thing, and then all of a sudden, nah, 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 nah. And I look again, I'm like, what? And I walk around for a second, I see a guy, I'm assuming like Vietnamese or something of that kind of Hmong or some kind of culture like that, but you know, guy sitting there with a crossbow in a tree stand, sitting there waiting on, or where he's watching this trail right there, and he's yelling at me. It's like, I didn't know. You know, wave me down. Give me something to see. I stood here for 5 minutes marking this tree and scouting. You just let me stand here 20 yards away from you. Let me know. As soon as I know, I got right out of there. Give me the spot back. Does that mean I won't hunt that spot? No. I marked that tree. That tree's perfect. And you bet your butt I'm going to that tree. Whether if I go out there and he's in there, he gets it. Okay, his ladder stand might still be sitting there, but if I go in there and he's not there, I'm climbing that tree. He comes in, I'm going to him right back out of there. It's not going to happen. So that's the reality of it. Another one too is flagging tape. Flagging tape, okay, this ribbon, marking ribbon. Oh my gosh, I cannot stand it. We live in a time where we have access to the most amazing mapping systems and GPS systems in the entire world. There is no reason for the woods to be filled with these stupid flagging tapes hanging everywhere, surveyors tapes hanging everywhere, yet I see it. It's funny. I see it so much during gun season. So like if we go and I hunt at WMA down here and I don't see any of it, if we got a 3-day gun season, they happen many times throughout the month, 3-day, the weekend gun seasons. And, but I can be out there on a Thursday and see nothing, and then come into an area on a Monday right after that gun season had hit, and there's flagging tape anywhere. I come out with bundles of this stuff that is just left in there all over the place. Do not use flagging tape. Do not leave it out there. You're not going to go back and pick it up. If you want to flag your tree where you're going to put your stand in so you can find that one tree easier, that's fine. But there's no reason to be doing a flag every 5 yards for 200 yards into the woods. It's just ridiculous. And it's disgusting, and it messes everything up, and it's a huge eyesore. It's a huge problem for everything. There's no reason to use flagging tape. If you are going to hunt a small 3-day weekend, gun weekend, and just be out there for those, and you want to do that kind of scenario, then use toilet paper. Even in the rain, unless it's torrential downpours, toilet paper will last 3-4 days. Put a little square of toilet paper on there, but at least when you're done, a couple of days later, it's gone, and you're going to be fine. Okay, and other people won't even know you're going to a stand. They'll think you blood trailed an animal. Heck, it'll probably help keep people out of the woods, because it'll be like, oh, somebody blood trailed through here. That means they stomped all over the area. This area is wrecked. I don't even want to hunt here now. When all you're doing is actually flagging their way to your tree stand, but you'll keep them out of there. Your flagging tape, disgusting eyesore. Do not use it anymore. And if you did, I can understand why you did. But I'm telling you now, don't use it anymore. Get on X, get a GPS, learn how that stuff works, and then use your breadcrumb trails as your tracks and your ways in and out, or whatever you got to do. Use some bright eyes in a tree. At least they're not even that obtrusive and not a big deal. And usually they snap right off when a tree pulls them in, and the tree grows. It pops the head off. The little piece goes in, and they disappear. You know, they're not a environmental or a eyesore or any kind of issues with that. So anyway, a couple pet peeves that bother me tremendously. And if I offended anybody, like I said, I do apologize, but on the same note, get over it. It's my opinion. My opinion doesn't carry much weight. So don't take any offense to it. Don't get upset with it. I'm sure there's things about me that you cannot stand. Many of you voice your opinions about it in the comments anyway. So I already know what a lot of it is. So take it for what it's worth. These are some bow hunting pet peeves that drive me nuts. Thanks for watching.